Okay, welcome back. This morning I thought I'd work on a little Thanksgiving project. Very simple, a little box basically, a lighted box. You could use this on your table as a centerpiece or a little decoration for placemats if you want, whatever. It's a simple little thing. You make it in the shape of a box and you first of all cut out the lettering and fit it together. I'll show you how to do that as we go along here. Nothing complicated. If you want this pattern, just send me an email at the address down below. I'll get it off to you. And I'll have the dimensions on it here and everything that you need, so you won't have to worry too much about that. But it might make a cute little decoration for your Thanksgiving table. Now what you're going to need is I'm going to cut this all out of birch plywood. You're going to need two top and bottom panel. And these measure at about 7/11/16 by 2 6/16. If you got the pattern, you can just cut out the pattern and use that instead of worrying about dimensions. And then just fit it in. The front and back panel, which you're going to say Happy Thanksgiving, also cut from the same type of plywood, 7 11/16 by 4 2/16. And then the last two side panels, on which you're going to put a little leaf for decoration, that's 2 6/16 by 4 7/16. Not at all complicated. Put a little bit of wood glue, hold it together, and dress it up a little bit. Show you how to do that, and we'll have ourselves a nice little decoration. So let's get busy. Okay, first of all we're going to work on the front and back panel, which are going to be a little sign basically that says Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to take a bit of painter's tape and we're going to put two of these together because we're going to cut them both at the same time. No sense in making more work for ourselves. Just tape these up. I'll put 3 pieces of tape on here. Hold them together firmly in place because we don't want them moving around when we're doing our cutting. Okay, there we go. Nice blank, actually 2 blanks. Now we're going to take our pattern and cut it out. Doesn't have to really be fancy. You can cut it on the line if you want. Or you can just cut around the lettering and eyeball it into place when you set it up. I'm going to cut this a little shorter. Just sort of eyeball it when I put it down. Now this kind of cut might be a little bit challenging for somebody who isn't used to doing scroll sawing. Cut some more off of this so I can fit it on there better. As I was saying, it might be a little challenging doing the lettering because you're going to have to cut all this inside lettered material out. If you take your time, work slowly. I use a number 5 reverse tooth blade and show you how it goes as I do it. And just take your time, you should be okay. Alright, what we want to do is put some of the old trusty glue stick down on the back of this thing. stick it to that board. It doesn't go anywhere. And we'll just sort of eyeball it here to center it. Okay. Now we're going to have to drill some entry holes using the drill press. Just in a few spots here, because some of this is all joined together. But where you have a break, that letter is going to have to be cut independently, so it'll have to be a separate drill entry hole on its own. So I'm going to go drill those holes now, and I'll come back and meet you over at the scroll saw, and we'll do some cutting. Okay, we're over at the scroll saw now. I got my reverse tooth number 5 blade in here, and we'll start our cutting. Now we're going to need just a few entry holes, as I showed you. Those are we should be able to cut this whole thing out here practically, except for the last two letters. But this first section should be cut out by itself. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can do this before my battery runs dead on the camera. There we go. Okay, I think we got that done. Pop those out. You can even save these if you want. Maybe you could make another kind of sign. Maybe we'll play around with that later on. Save these. You notice how we got our nice cutout section there. Now let's do the next 2 letters. Okay, we got it all cut out nicely, and we should have 2 signs. Actually going to be a front plate and a back plate for our box. And I'll show you how that's done in a moment or two. After we get this off, might be a little tricky here. Just bear with me. Okay, there we are. We got 2 nice signs, a front and a back, which we're going to put in as part of our box. And the next thing we want to do is go to our sander We could do this by hand if you want, and sandpaper to clean that off. But I usually use my sanding mop. Let me go clean this up and we'll start to assemble the box. Okay, our next piece to cut now is going to be a little leaf decoration. I'm going to just cut that off here. Pattern. This should be fairly simple to cut. Take our tape and put it on. Again, we're going to stack this because we want a leaf on both sides. And there's no sense in cutting two if you don't have to. We're just going to cut once and we get twice. That's my motto. Cut once, get twice. Alright, take that, put our sticky stuff on the back here. We'll drill a little entry hole. We can cut around this thing. And we'll cut it out. I'm not going to bother to film this. I'm going to just go cut it out. And I'll bring the final product back and we'll take a look at it. Maybe we can get assembling the box. Okay, we got the leaf cut out nicely. That was a very simple job. Did it in one cut. Looks like we did the lettering. Nothing complicated there. And we'll take the backing off, and we got two end pieces now for our little lighted display. The way it's going to work generally, to show you how this is set up, if I can see this on here, I don't know, back this up a little bit, maybe we can see a little better. Gonna get a little bit hairy putting this together, but basically we're going to have a bottom piece, a side piece, a little lantern, a little lamp, a little leaf, and the actual front of the lantern is going to be thus. So it's going to be down on the bottom. Okay, there we go. And we're going to put that together, and we're going to put a candle in there, and it should light it up pretty nicely. A little trick I'm going to show you later on down the road. Okay, the next thing we want to do now is start gluing this thing together. But before we do that, we're going to do another little trick here to make this thing work better. Okay, before we start assembling this little project, what we want to do is rig this up so that there's some good light distribution inside of the box. Now we're going to use a little candle like this to light it. You might even want to put a couple of them in if it isn't bright enough. But if you just put that in the bottom of the box, it's going to show that candle sticking up through the holes in the lettering. We don't really want that. We want it to be more of a distributed light. Now there's several ways of doing this, of course. You could use regular paper as a backing here. But my secret weapon is wax paper. It's got a good see-through ability, but not so much that it's going to be like looking through a plain glass. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our framework here, and we're going to cut a piece of wax paper like this. I mean, not a big deal. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this so it's a little bit on the inside. We don't really want right up edge to edge. Cut it down like that. And same with the other parts. Hoping we can see this on the camera. I don't know if I'm moving this too much or whatever, but okay. So we've got a nice piece of wax paper that we can line the inside of our panel with. Now, there's several ways of doing this too, of course. We could use with a glue stick, which is a possibility. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this back part with an aerosol spray adhesive. Now, I know I've said many times I prefer to use glue stick, and I do. But in this case, I want to get as even the distribution as I can, and I want something that's going to hold permanently. So what I'm going to do is put my mask on, protect myself from the aerosol spray. And we'll go over there and spray it down, and we'll come back and put down our wax paper. Okay, I'm going to use 3M Super 77, but you know, you can use any kind of aerosol spray you can find. And we'll just do a nice coating on the back of it. Okay, that ought to be pretty good. Let's bring it back to the table now. Okay, we're back here with our sticky back all set to go. We're going to take our wax paper and line it up over the lettering, and then just press it down. Now you can use another piece of paper over the top of that. Make sure that it comes out nice, and that's pretty good. As you can see, we've got a nice dissipation of light here. Bring this back for you to look at, and it's not going to be. You won't be able to see too much here with a rather bright light in here, but we'll take a look at it later on without bright light. But you can put your candle behind it, and you can still see where the candle is, of course, but in a dark situation, this will light it up. And if you put 2 candles in, or 3 candles in this box, and light them up, I think you get even better distribution. So that's the way this works. And we're going to do this for the other side also, and we're also going to do it for the leaves. So I'm going to do that now, get it all set, and we'll come back and get this thing ready to assemble. Okay, we're ready to start assembly now of our project. We're going to take one end piece like this and put a little bit of glue at the bottom like that, because it's going to sit on the floor against the base size wise. We'll just put it right up there, and the adhesive you used on the paper bled along the outside, and it helps to hold that in place too while we're doing this. So we got one end up. Now these are going to go on top of the platform right up against us. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue along the edge here and on the bottom. I've got a little pot of glue here that I use on the side. It's going along the edge like this. Just need a little bit, not that difficult, and along the bottom. Bleeds inside, not too bad. We can wipe up the outside if we have to. Okay, so this is going to be Happy Thanksgiving on one side. Make sure we got it facing up the right way. And we put it right on the top of the platform and line it up. Okay, and now we do the other side also. Okay, we put some glue on the other side as well. Do it the same way. On the bottom, and also we should put some along the outer edge here too. We're going to need to tighten that down as well. Okay, so that goes right up against there. We're not going to use any special fancy cuts to get this thing in here. I mean, should work pretty good. Might be a little bit uneven, but not a major problem. Alright, now the only other thing left to do for now is to put the other piece inside, just like the other one. So we gotta glue this down, of course. We want to make sure, of course, that it's facing upright like that. So we put our glue along the bottom here. Let's squeeze out a little more probably. This is regular Titebond wood glue, by the way. More than adequate to do the job. Get any on the edge, just wipe it off with your finger. And of course, you're going to want to do the edges too. That edge and both edges actually. There. Take this and place it in the slot. Should fit in there nicely on both sides. Now we'll make it fit. Okay. Looks good that way. Looks good that way. And that way. Alright. Not bad, except that it's falling apart here. Get all the pieces lined up as best you can. And then we take our Irwin quick grip clamp, and we'll start at the top here. No, I think we'll start at the bottom actually. Just snugly put that down, line it up a little bit, make sure it's lined up properly, and give it a nice snug tightening. Okay. And then up at the top, we're going to do the same thing. Again, just sort of eyeballing it. Don't need any major requirements here. Tighten it down a little bit so you can slide that in on that side and out on this side a little bit so that it lines up nicely. Okay, and tighten it down good and snug. Now take it, a little bit sticking to the bottom there, turn it around so we do the other side. this off a little bit. Let's see what I'm doing here. This may not be the best way to do this, but it's my way. Okay, we tighten the bottom up. Make sure everything is lined up first. Nicely lined up. Tighten it down snugly. And do the last part here, just like we did the other part. Tighten that down. Straighten it out a little bit. Make sure it's even. And then snugly tighten it down. Okay, I think we've got it. So you can see it's nicely bound up there. And we're going to let that dry for a while. And we're going to smooth, do some sanding on the edges here later on to smooth it all out. Put that on the belt sander, and it should look pretty good. Might even round over the edges to make them look pretty good too. Now all we got left to do is to work on the top part, and all this top part is not absolutely necessary, but what I want to do is just put it so that we can take it off easily and put our candles in and out. And then put the top down on top of it so that it keeps the light inside too. If you wanted to, you could even take some aluminum foil and line the inside here so it would give a little more reflection too. That's a possibility also. But I think this is good. It goes edge to edge, of course. Could make it a little longer if we wanted to really go edge to edge, but not a major problem here. This is just a little decorative device. So we're going to let that dry now, and we'll come back and work with it later on. Okay, I'm going to work on the top of our little display. And what we're going to do is, we've got to cut the size already so it'll fit nicely on there. But I want to round over these edges. And I could do it by sanding them down but by hand. It's a lot quicker on the sanding belt, so let's do that. As you can see, it's a real simple process. You just, as the belt is running, just drop your cover down a little bit, round it over as it goes along. It's nice and smooth and round on the edges. Now let's fix up the top a little bit, make it interesting. Okay, we got the sides rounded over here on our top. So what I'm going to do now, I went out and collected some acorns. I like to do this roughly around the center. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I put a little splotch of Gorilla Glue, which is a sort of a super glue. And then we take our acorn and we're going to lay it on its side and put it right in the middle of that splotch. We'll let that dry there. Now what that's going to do, of course, is become the top of our lighted ornament. And it's appropriate. I mean, it's something you see in the fall, around Thanksgiving time. A lot of acorns everywhere. So we'll take it if you haven't got a lot of complete acorns, you only find pieces of them. You can do what I did on this one. Is take the top and glue it to the bottom and make up an acorn that's a little more sturdy than nature made. So we're going to let that dry, and that will be our top of our ornament. What I was thinking of doing also is maybe putting these as feet on the bottom of our ornament, which could be done. I don't know. we'll see. Maybe I'll just leave it the way it is, and we'll go with it as it is. A little simpler to do it that way. Okay, all the pieces seem to have dried nicely here on our little box. What we're going to do is we're going to sand down, lay this down on the belt sander and flatten all this edging out, a little bit off here and there. Not a big problem, but we'll make it look better. And we're going to use that rounding technique also on the sander to round over the edges on the sides and the top and the back and all over. So let's go do that. Okay, here we go with another workout on the belt sander. Okay, I've taken the camera off the tripod here just so I can move around a little bit and show you down inside how this looks. Pretty well set, I'd say. It came out pretty good. The wood is not that great. The this birch ply you get nowadays comes from some sources which are not as good as they used to be, but you know, didn't work out too bad. You could always stain it or paint it to cover up those edges that look a little crude, but I think we're looking pretty good here. Now the cover, of course, we'll just put on top. When we put this up for display, just simply rest it on top and it should be fine. Got a little acorn on there, and of course we have our lamps inside which we can put in there. Let me get a couple of those. Alright, I picked up a couple of these little tea lights. You don't want to use, do not use real candles in here by any means. But these little electric ones are pretty good. These do a little flickering too. Let's put them inside. And I'm going to put 2 of them in here. You could probably get along with 1. If you really want a lot of light, maybe you could put 3 in there, 4. They could probably squeeze them in without any difficulty. Okay, got a little bit of reflection in there. Let's shut off the lights here. Can't get it completely dark in here, but gives you an idea of how it looks on display. I'll probably give this a coating of clear spray. See how the side looks. I had to turn it around here. There we go. Yeah, we got our little leaf on the side. Looks pretty good. And our little acorn on the top, of course, looks pretty nice too. Alright, well, that pretty well wraps up this project. I hope you liked it. And if you did, please click the like button down below. It always helps out if you do that. And subscribe to the channel. That also is a big help. And if you do that, I'll probably keep working at these projects and more of them will come on down the road. Remember, if you want this pattern, it's free of charge. You just click the address down below, my email address, or send me an email. And tell me that you want the Happy Thanksgiving lamp box or some sort. Identify it in some way. I have a lot of projects up there that I'm giving away, and be able to identify exactly which one you want. So be sure to tell me which one it is, and I'll get that off to you without any problem. Well, thank you for watching.